Start this thing in three, two, one. Welcome back to the Comic Book Bullies with Nerds the New Bully. I'm your host Leroy with my co-host.
This is Eli.
Yep, and we're back with a new episode. And this is gonna be our special episode. Everybody knows that whenever a big tentpole superhero movie comes out, we like to dedicate an entire show to it. So if you're looking for our normal routine where we talk about books, we talk about pop culture and newsworthy articles, we're not gonna do it. That bullshit about that white model modeling Black Panther and Forever 21, they apologize today. I'm gonna just give you a quick synopsis of that. We don't give a shit. Even if on regular show.
I didn't even know about that.
It was some new shit. It's on the big news. I'm like, who gives a fuck, man? Really? That being said, we just move on to that. Now, what we normally do whenever it's a superhero, and like I said, this is a technically superhero origin story, even though he's been in 2 other movies before then. But this movie pretends like those movies never happened. But we'll get to that. Eli, give us a quick thing about how did you become familiar with Aquaman?
How did I come familiar?
Yeah. We always do that. We talk about how do you know the character and stuff.
I think the Super Friends.
Okay, pretty much everybody remembers him from. That's why I knew him from the Super Friends. He was it was always Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Wendy, Marvin, the Wonder Twins, and Wonder Dog,
and Big Chief or Apache Chief.
Oh, that was later on with the racial Avengers or the racial Justice League or whatever. You had Apache Chief, the tall one that can grow. You had Black Vulcan, not Black Lightning, Black Vulcan. The difference is Black Vulcan didn't wear pants. You had El Dorado, who could win. I think. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, he was Mexican. And who was the last one? Samurai. No, Samurai was the one with win. Fuck El Dorado dude. I don't remember. Anyway, those were those 4. They came later on after when they wanted to add diversity. And they were there for like 3 episodes and disappeared.
Yeah.
Guess Lex Luthor killed them or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing. I think everybody was familiar with Aquaman. Everybody knows Aquaman, but everybody doesn't really know anything about Aquaman. I remember buying all those toys back then. Like I bought Superman, Batman, and I looked at Aquaman like, no, that's okay. Remember those superpower toys were huge.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, they had that. What was the name of that artist? Gil something. Was it Gil? Kane, I think.
I wouldn't remember.
It was a special artist that drew all that stuff. Whoever it was the guy that did the Batman versus Hulk book where Batman whooped Hulk's ass. But anyway, he drew this shit. They modeled the characters after that, and everybody was like, nobody gives a fuck about Aquaman. Because I always wondered, okay, he has the power to talk to fish, but what happens when there's no fish near him? He's kind of useless. And if you watch those old shows, he was kind of useless there too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So that's the thing about that. And then I think everybody caught on to that because, of course, Family Guy started popping up and Robot Chicken started popping up like in the last decade or so like that. And they started to point out those same, similarities that we noticed in the old Super Friends show. Like when he wasn't near fish, he was pretty useless and the jokes started coming. All of a sudden, Aquaman became just a joke. You couldn't do anything with Aquaman.
Yeah.
And it was just pretty much the butt of all jokes going on. So even trying to make an Aquaman movie, nobody would take seriously because he was such a joke. It was like, of course, people if they did make a movie, or maybe it's gonna be some kind of parody, a comedy, stuff like that. And now you got Jason Momoa, biggest badass motherfucker on the planet right now. Nobody's gonna make fun of him.
Everyone freaked out when they cast him as Aquaman because they're like, why are they casting him as Aquaman? Why can't he be Lobo or a cooler character and all that shit?
Right, exactly. They was like, because especially when they started announcing all these, because people thought it was like a gag casting. Remember, this is right on the heels of, and now we have our new Batman, Ben Affleck, and we were still recovering from that. We're like, wait, what? And now we cast Aquaman, Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones. Like, what? Like, what the hell is going on? So it's just Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. Like, okay, this should get a little too weird now, But yeah, Jason Momoa did his thing. He's been around for a while. This thing, he's not a new actor. I remember him. The first role I remember him from was Johnson Family's Vacation.
Oh shit!
It was a Cedric Entertainer movie.
Okay.
It was actually a black remake of Family Vacation. The Chevy Chase movie.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much the same movie, but it was like for us, Around that time of year, it was a lot of black remakes of other old movies, but we're not getting into that. Anyway, he played a Native American who worked at a casino that was on the phone talking to his girlfriend. He saw Beyonce's sister, and then he decided to dress up like the regular, the stereotypical Native American you expect to see in a movie. And then he started to flirt.
I missed that one. I didn't even know.
Oh yeah. It was funny as hell because he was on the phone. He was just talking on the phone to his girlfriend, and the casino owner said, Cedric Entertainer said he wants to see a real Indian. And he gave him like $100. Can you do that for me? You're like, okay. So he did it, but the whole time he was like acting like a stereotypical Native American while flirting with his daughter the entire time. It was a funny scene. That's the only scene worth seeing if you need to check it out. He's also a Baywatch alumni.
Yeah, I knew he was on Baywatch.
Yeah. Actually, there's 2 Baywatch alumni in this technically.
Oh, yeah?
Well, technically. Okay, Jason Momoa is a Baywatch alumni, but the actor Black Manta, I can't remember his name. He was on the Get Down, all stuff like that. He was in the Baywatch movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he played the Black Cop. So technically, it's 2. Honestly, you think an Aquaman movie, you think it'd be more Baywatch alumni in it? Like Hasselhoff should show up or something? Kind of like Xena the Warrior Princess. She became like a prototype type of Wonder Woman. David Hasselhoff was a prototype of Aquaman, maybe. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then like I said, we saw the other 2 movies. He was in Justice League. He was in Batman v Superman for like 2 seconds with just like a hair commercial, just floating in the water and just flies off. So all that is pretty cool. But now we got this movie. Now let me ask you about this. How was your theater? Like, what was it, packed or what was it? Or when did you go see it?
I saw it like the 5 o'clock showing on Thursday. Like we had tickets, like advanced tickets, like from like last month.
Okay.
We had tickets for a while, a couple weeks at least.
Okay, I was tempted to go to remember I told you last week I was tempted to go to that pre-screening that they were doing for Amazon members, but like I said, I didn't get off work at time, so I went at Thursday, but it was like 10:30. It wasn't like super duper packed. It wasn't like Infinity War where you had to get your tickets a month in advance, or what was another movie like that? The last Star Wars movie. Last year, I couldn't even get in the movie to see it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like that. I was able to get in, got an easy breezy seat, had space in between me and the other seats. It wasn't like I was crammed in, anything like that. So overall, it's pretty good. The theater was pretty interesting. Saw it in 3D. And yeah. So before we got about to get into the movie. I know we're going long-winded, going to get into the movie, but first, I just wanted to talk about the box office numbers. Now, actually, we don't have the official box office numbers yet because it's a little too early, but I will tell you at least what it did yesterday. And yesterday seemed to be doing good. Saturday, it did 28 million that day alone. Projecting they're saying it's going to be somewhere else floating around like 70 or 80 million, which is respectable.
Yeah.
What you expect for a movie, for Aquaman movie, Next, of course, after that was Mary Poppins Returns, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse still hanging in there. So, yeah, overall, Aquaman is still doing pretty good numbers. So, yeah, as far as box office numbers, it's pretty much all I got. Eli, you want to just jump into this thing and let's just talk about it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so like I said, the Aquaman movie came out, and we're going to get into, I guess, spoilers maybe. Before we get into it, Eli, give me a quick summary of, give me a review. Give me a review. I know you gave a review online, but actually try to ignore it as much as possible before the show.
Oh, well, I pretty much loved it. I thought it was great. I am actually an Aquaman fan, so I thought it followed the comics, the New 52 anyways. I thought it followed that pretty closely. It did change some things, but for the most part, it pretty much followed Jeff Johns' run on the comics. I thought it was dope. It was like, pretty much, first of all, it was like the first underwater superhero movie we've pretty much ever seen, if you want to, besides Waterworld. But yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, it was your typical superhero origin story. So plot wise, it was nothing we hadn't seen before, but because it was Aquaman, a fresh take on him, I thought it was pretty refreshing. Getting to see the underwater world, Atlantis, and the big giant Lord of the Rings battles underwater. I thought it was epic. I thought it was great. I had a great time with it. There were a few things that I could nitpick, but that would be just nitpicking. Overall, it was just a fun popcorn superhero movie. It knew what it was trying to be, and it succeeded. I know in this day and age where Marvel's kicking ass, because they've been doing it for 10 years and they got 20 plus movies and actors that have playing these characters for a decade. I know they've broken a lot of ground and people have a high bar set, but this was, I thought, very well made in that regard. I thought the director had, cinematically, it was very well put together. The shots were awesome. It definitely looked good on the big screen. The fight scenes were the fight scenes were great. That opening fight scene with with Atlanta in the house on Amnesty Bay was probably better than every Iron Fist fight scene that I've seen.
Too soon.
And that was
too soon.
That was Aquaman's mom, and she can kick more ass than Iron Fist. Like, what the hell? That was the opening fight scene. I was like, holy shit, this is with an old lady. So yeah, I was digging on it. I really dug on it. I want to see it again. I plan on seeing it again. So yeah, I got a double thumbs up for me.
Okay, you gonna slap a score on it?
Oh, I give it do a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Okay. All right.
It did have its flaws, but it was still just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay. I took some notes. Let me see. I'm just gonna ignore all that shit. Okay, I'm gonna just go off the top. Let's freestyle it. Okay. So, like I said, as far as Aquaman, people are debating whether or not it's the best DCEU movie. We can debate about that all we want to. I will say this: it is DC's best Marvel movie they've made so far. So they definitely were going a certain direction with this one. Before we get into the movie, I do want to talk about this, that I do feel like every DCEU movie we've seen before, you can't take a kid to see it. Maybe Wonder Woman, maybe, I don't know, but definitely not Batman v Superman, definitely not Man of Steel, maybe Justice League, but that's such a mismatched movie. We're going to forget that, just like Aquaman did. So this is a movie that you can actually take kids to see, and I can think kids can enjoy themselves, because kids can't enjoy Batman v Superman at all. It's boring for them. It's slow. Yeah. Too dark. This is bright, colorful, bombastic. People talking about how Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I heard some people complain about the movie was too bright. It hurt their eyes and their senses. It was too much on them. Aquaman was damn near almost there. We were just bright, colorful, everything, especially when the action really, really got going. And that's exactly what you expect from an Aquaman movie. It's like you were saying before. It was the main thing you say about the movie, that it was fun. It was entertaining, exciting. It wasn't boring. It was never dull. Everything. The movie moved at a breakneck pace. For those that don't know, James Wan also directed Fast and the Furious 7. So this movie moved at a breakneck pace, just like those Fast and Furious movies did also. And they threw so much shit into this movie that I think that was a good thing and a bad thing. Honestly, I feel like they put 3 movies into this movie.
Yeah, well, it had different tones too.
Jumped all over the place. Yeah. They crammed so much into it where they could spread it out. And you know what? I almost understand where they come from, because we got to remember, as far as these DC movies and these superhero movies, DC is kind of behind the 8 ball. So it's kind of like that guy in, I'm gonna use a football analogy, even though I don't watch football. The last play of the quarter, he's away from the touchdown. He's gonna do a Hail Mary. This movie felt like a Hail Mary for DC. We just got to throw every fucking thing into this movie. Kitchen sink. Fuck setting up a sequel. Just throw everything into it. And and I can appreciate them for that. I think they should have held back some of this stuff. Black Manta was awesome, and a lot of people went to go see the movie. I do think he was kind of shoehorned into this movie. That's just me. It was a lot of stuff that, it's like you said, it moved at a breakneck pace. The story was super predictable. like I said, I don't feel like even though I am familiar with Aquaman to a point, not to the level that you are, Eli, but I'm familiar with Aquaman to a point, so I knew what beats they were going to hit. But even if I wasn't familiar with Aquaman, just the fact that I've seen so many superhero movies before, just in the last 2 years alone, you know what beats this movie's going to hit. They don't break new ground.
Yeah.
As far as just plot wise and story wise, or even acting wise, this movie doesn't move the needle. When people start pointing to superhero fatigue, they can kind of point at Aquaman and say, it's just like another one of these movies. Uh, Amber Heard and Jason Momoa, let's be honest, they are not the greatest actors in the world. I will say this about Jason Momoa, though. He does have a screen presence. He has that alpha
no
male.
One's going to,
Yeah. He has that alpha male persona,
He's Jason Statham. He's The Rock. We're not watching
That's
him.
exactly
Yeah,
what
we're
he
not
is.
watching him for Shakespeare.
Right.
We want to see their muscles glisten while they punch faces.
Right.
That's their purpose.
That's their purpose. I never felt like he absorbed his role into Arthur Curry. I never felt like he became Arthur Curry. He was just Jason Momoa the whole time. He's Aqua Bro. But that's cool. But I do want to see Jason Momoa do Jason Momoa shit, just like you were saying, Jason Statham, The Rock, those type of guys. He's not an actor. Yeah. He's a movie star. There's a difference. And he's that guy. And you got some guys that can do both. I feel like Tom Cruise can do both when he wants to. He can be a movie star or an actor. Jason Momoa got one gear. That's what he's doing, and that's fine. The romantic connection between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa. I mean, yeah, they're two probably the hottest people on the planet, but at the same time, there's actually no chemistry between them. They're kind of just doing their own thing, and that's cool. Like I said, you go see this movie. I guess you really don't expect it to, exceed any level like that, because I just feel like in recent movies, the comic movies have kind of stepped the bar up in that one. These characters did feel kind of flat. They didn't really just they don't even explain any of their powers. They explain a little bit of Aquaman's powers, like why he can do like other shit other Atlanteans do, and it's cool. Why can he talk to fish? Never explained. He didn't care about it. How did Mary get her powers? Never explained. Nobody cares about it. So that stuff they just kind of breeze over through it. They got and there's so much lore and mythology they just cram down your throat. Like, what the fuck, man? Like the Seven Seas here and the Fisher King here and the other guys there, and they kind of expect you to know this shit because they breeze over so fast. But that's cool. I guess that's stuff like that gives you a chance to rewatch the movie again. But like, okay, that's the direction they were going for. So that out the way, let's talk about the good stuff. I will say this. This is probably one of the prettiest and most gorgeous looking superhero movies ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. CGI. People always complain, it was 10-minute CGI. It's a fucking underwater movie. It's supposed to be CGI. So honestly, as far as CGI goes, I mean, I think it's pretty much like Infinity War and this. And in some scenes, it might have even gotten Infinity War. I mean, remember we were just talking about this, maybe even last week, Eli, about how Marvel, they don't really have like a cinematic feel to a lot of their movies. They just feel like just cranking out movies and stuff like that.
No. I mean, there's that story that they hired a female director to do, was it the Black Widow movie? But then she quit because I guess they don't let her direct the action scenes.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what Marvel does. I mean, that's nothing new. It's not even her. Marvel they'll just hire like these big name directors just to pretty much kind of do just the acting scenes and the drama scenes. But as far as like action stuff like that, they have a second team to do all that stuff, and it's pretty much the same second team on all these movies.
Yeah, they all look the same. I mean, but if you watch this movie, like I said, the fight scenes, the action scenes, you can tell that was James Wan.
Right.
If you watch his other movies, if you watch Fast and the Furious and the Conjuring movies and his, his horror movies, you can tell that's his vision.
Right. Because a lot of times, like the action, like they kind of play with the camera sometimes like that. He was doing that stuff in Fast and the Furious, stuff like that. So, and that's the thing, like this movie was cinematic. Like you could just take some screenshots from some of these movies and they look like they came from a comic book. Yeah. And that's the thing. And you say what you want to about DC and the movies they've been cranking out. I feel like their movies have been more cinematic looking than Marvel. Well, Marvel does kind of have that bland kind of look to it, even though you came out the character. I mean, you can say what you want to about Batman v Superman and Man of Steel like that. They have some awesome looking shots And
Yeah.
cinematographers like that. And Aquaman was in that same level. I was always wondering, like, okay, Zack Snyder kind of set the bar at least for what these movies supposed to look like. Can James Wan match that level? He matched that level. He did it. You know.
Yeah.
So I like the movie on that aspect. I also like the fact that and here's the thing. Like I said, people want to say that this is an all new, all different Aquaman. Not really, Eli. It's just like you said. Like the movie was very, very faithful to the comics.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Arthur is a little bit more Arthurian, King Arthur, Shakespearean in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you throw Jason Momoa, I mean, you can just tell they were trying to shatter the joke image of what Aquaman was. And that's why they cast him. That's why this movie is as pretty as it is. It's trying to show that, this character is actually cool if you give him a chance, And I like I said, I didn't do that until I read the New 52 run, where they basically rebooted Aquaman's lore and his character and made him actually badass. And if you're gonna have a badass Aquaman, then who else but Jason Momoa,
Right. We
play
just look at him and say he's a badass. Nobody's gonna make fun of him. So.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I like about it. But even though they tried to make an all new, all different Aquaman, they didn't try to Nolanize this shit. They didn't try to be like, what would Aquaman be like if he existed in the real world? They didn't do that shit.
Yeah.
This was like, no, let's just take whatever stupid, silly shit in the comics, take that shit, put it on screen. They had a fucking octopus playing the drums.
Yeah, which I guess is a old shot. Now this okay. Because this is some deep shit. But
this is a comic book podcast, so
yeah. So that I guess that character that octopus was named after is Topo. But from what I read, I'm only familiar with the New 52 run and the Rebirth shit. So I haven't really, now that there's an Aquaman movie, I'm sure there's going to be more, Aquaman books made available,
right.
So I can go back and read those older runs and stuff like that. But as far as like the New 52, Topo is a giant like sea monster.
Oh wow! Okay.
that helps Aquaman do shit, helped him in a couple of the arcs and stuff. But he wasn't an octopus, not the way I remember.
Okay. Because I feel like at that point in the movie, you either understand what this movie is or you don't. Like I've seen some like critics, like main critics and reviewers, like jump off the movie at that point and say, "Is that an octopus playing the drums? Oh, I can't watch this movie. I'm done. I'm out." Like. You weren't supposed to go see this movie anyway. It's not for you.
Yeah, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Like if that's where you jump out. Because basically that's where it's like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the tone we're going with this movie. Anything can happen at this point. And I'm like on board. I'm like, okay, that's an octopus playing the drums. Okay, I'm sold. I'm on board. Just keep going from there. So, and like I said, we compare the movie to Lord of the Rings. I do feel like the movie was a little bit too long. They could have trimmed the fat a little bit because there really wasn't much plot to it. The main plot of the movie, like 75% of the movie was go get the thing. And everything else was just shit just going on there. And it didn't fit. And they threw in so many Aquaman bad guys. Like by the time when he finally got to the very end, I was like, oh fuck, another monster? Shit. They could have trimmed it out a little bit, paced up. Like I said, the movie just moving at such breakneck speed and DC just throwing so much shit at you, I can kind of forgive them for that. Did have some cool points to it. Mira had some cool ass powers. I mean, I want to see Mira. You know how they got all these kids dressing up as like these girls dressing up as Harley Quinn and stuff like that. I want to see some dress up as Mira.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Amber Heard fan. Sure, she's cool to look at, but when I first heard she was cast as Mira, because I love Mira in the comics. I think she's one of the coolest characters. And so I was a little worried about her. And at first, it was this like with Jason Momoa. Oh, that's not Mira. That's Amber Heard in Mira costume.
Right, with a tomato hair wig on. Right.
Yeah, and it. But after a while, I kind of settled into it. I was like, okay. I mean, after watching her do her hydrokinesis and all that shit and kick ass, I'm like, okay, there she is. you know. So I forgave them. I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is like I said, I could nitpick
Yeah, and
but
plus she only wore like the green outfit that we recognized. She only wore it at the beginning of the movie.
yeah,
Like you never see
yeah.
it again.
And yeah, after a while I was like, yeah, that's Mira. I didn't mind her as Mira after a while. I was like, I accepted it. So
Okay, and like I said, she was cool. Let's talk about the bad guys for a second. Like I said, we briefly talked about Black Manta. I thought he was awesome. I thought every time he came in, it was awesome. I thought he raised the movie up to every level he was on when he's in there. It was just like he was just briefly in there and it just went away. You know, even the
yeah,
scene where he was doing the Iron Man thing when he was making the Black Manta suit. I like it's a cool scene, but what the hell does that have to do with the movie? Why is this here? You
yeah.
know,
It's just establishing the Aquaman lore. And as a fan, I'm like, oh wow. Of course, me being a fan, I'm like, oh cool. They're referencing this and they're referencing that. There's, that's what I love about the Aquaman comics, the Aquaman, stories.
yeah,
Is it does, like I keep telling people, it is Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones.
yeah.
It's fantasy underwater, and it does have this rich, mythology. It
And
goes
you can
deep.
tell because it just feel like they were throwing. It's like okay, it's a lot of Aquaman shit I didn't know about. They're just throwing in this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, and I was like, oh whoa, oh shit. Sure they changed a few things. They made, was it King Nereus, Mira's dad, which he was like, she was supposed to marry him in the comic. I mean, yeah, there's stuff that they, I'm getting all token on you, but
Right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're speaking Spanish right now, but okay.
yeah, like there's stuff that they changed, but there is a rich, deep backstory to this mythology that they put in there, and as a fan, I was like, ooh, So I was digging on it,
You know what?
But then again,
I'm glad you brought that up, Eli, because I feel like you were going at this a different way than I was going at this, and maybe other audience also. I feel like I'm a semi-casual Aquaman fan. So
yeah,
watching this movie, I'm pretty much going in with fresh eyes. So whatever they throw at me, it's brand new. But at the same time, when you watch this movie, you're looking for this. You're looking for them to check the boxes.
yeah,
Looking at it from a fan,
yeah.
versus casual.
And I was just like, whoa, they're doing this, they're showing that, they're referencing, the Seven Kingdoms. Oh my God, the Dead King, all that shit like that. This is, the Dead King scepter, Volko, that like all these kids, like holy shit, I was digging on it, I was, I'm also used to Aquaman getting a bad rap, like I said, I was convinced. My boy showed me, gave me a couple of those New 52 trades, and I really dug on him. He's like, no, you should check out Aquaman. He's actually pretty cool. And I did, and I've been a fan since, So yeah, I'm used to people making fun of him. I'm used to him getting a bad rap and people not giving him a chance. So I understand like the backlash. I mean, I see it online too. Oh, that movie sucked. Oh, it's so stupid. Aquaman's gonna suck. I ain't gonna see it. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
So I'm kind of used to all that shit already. I'm like, well, fuck y'all, because y'all missing some cool ass shit. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, so and it seemed like you said they handed you some Aquaman books, you read them, you liked them. Somebody also handed me some Aquaman books, and they're just sitting in my closet right now, and I don't care. I'm like, I'm not reading this shit. But honestly, at the end of the movie, I was like, oh fuck, maybe I should have read that shit.
Yeah,
but now I'm going to go back and read it. Yeah.
Well, you even admitted that fantasy isn't your thing. That you're not a sword and sorcery kind of
Not
guy.
really.
You're
not really. Not my thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've always loved Conan and Lord of the Rings and all that shit. I like all that dragons and shit.
Yep.
So so and that's all it is. It's just it's just fantasy underwater. It's underwater fantasy. It's king fight. It's Game of Thrones under the sea.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like other than like you got Thor, which is a fantasy movie. And I guess, well, you can say Wonder Woman was also, but yeah, like really, really fantasy. I feel like this movie went there further than any other superhero movie this decade so far. Like they really went there with the fantasy. They didn't bother trying to sci-fi it up and real world explained it. No, they just it's a fucking giant seahorse.
Magic is science we don't understand.
Like none of that shit. No.
Yeah.
They didn't even
Yeah.
bother with that. So, like I said, we talked about Black Manta. He was awesome. Let's talk about Ocean Master for a second. Now, like I said, Ocean Master, Patrick Wilson, he's been in like every James Wan movie, every stuff like that. What I want to say about Ocean Master, I felt like he was cheesy. He was
Yeah.
hamming it up.
And that was one of my that's one of my nitpicks. Is I felt like he was just bored.
Oh,
like
no,
he
no,
was
no,
just
no, no.
going through his performance.
I was going somewhere with that. I loved his performance.
Oh, did you?
I did. Because it was cheesy, because it was hammy, because he was chewing up scenery. That's the thing. Like, okay, we dealt with Thanos and Killmonger and Vulture and all these bad guys with pathos. And are they the villain? Or are they really the hero and the villain? No, he's just fucking evil. And he was just fucking dick and he was just fucking asshole. And that's what I liked about it. Sometimes you just want to see your bad guy be a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was a little dry. I thought he was just, I'm just here reciting lines.
No, because
I didn't even think it was cheesy. I just thought it was he
was super cheesy.
He wasn't trying.
I felt like he was trying because a lot of times he was like screaming so much into the audience and stuff, and he was just like going in these temper tantrums and stuff. It was slowly kind of like Kylo Ren, but not quite that level. That's what I liked about it. I thought now he's not the greatest, comic book villain of all time, but he's not on Jesse Eisenberg level either. I felt like he was also building it.
No, he wasn't that over the top.
Right, but I thought for this type of movie, the tone and direction James Wan was going for this movie, he fit perfectly. Like they weren't trying to make him a sympathetic villain; he was just an asshole villain.
I mean, they did establish his motivations that he was, angry at the surface world,
and blah blah. I was like, yeah, whatever.
But that's already there. I mean, that's yeah.
And plus, I just like the fact that they were doing the other stuff with. Now, honestly, even I know why you may have had an issue with him, because after reading the comic Throne of Atlantis, I can kind of see why you had an issue with this character. Because I do feel like, from what I read in the comics, Ocean Master was a more fleshed out villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he technically wasn't even evil.
No.
It was just circumstances. He was just trying to protect his kingdom, and circumstances just played along to it, and that was all it was. He wasn't evil like he was in the movie. Like, he and I kind of like the political stuff he was doing too. It reminded me of episode 1 in Star Wars, all the political bullshit. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest. I like the political stuff in the prequels.
Okay.
All of it. I eat that shit up, man. When they sit there and have I don't know why, man. I just like that shit. Everybody hates it, but I liked it. So when they start going to the political shit in this movie, where he's shaking hands with one dude but doing backdoor deals with Black Manta to do other shit, I was loving it. I was like, yeah, I want to see an asshole political villain. He's using his political power as his superpower. Plus he's stronger than Aquaman underwater because he's been training the whole life. Aquaman just learned this shit. He's super cheesy. He's an asshole. He's about to marry, and then you got Mira with this kind of love triangle. Like she's about to marry his brother, but she runs off with his brother. I was liking that shit. Even though I know that's not in the comics stuff like that, but it was just interesting to me. So yeah, I thought Ocean Master was an awesome villain. If anything, he looked cool because they took the look straight from the comics.
Yeah, I mean, he looked fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, his fighting style was cool.
Yeah. Even the scene where they was in the Ring of Fire, which I thought was a stupid ass name for their bout. That was pretty much a Superman Zod fight underwater.
Yeah, I missed a little bit of that because I got up to go to the bathroom.
Oh man.
So I came back as that was going on, and shit. I was like, damn. I thought I was,
Because it was cool because they were doing like basically like a 360 degree battle underwater.
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I was like, that's the thing. I was like, okay, they're gonna fight and he's gonna get his ass kicked and then he's got to go regroup. That's
exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I figured this. I'm gonna go take a leak real quick because I don't want to be like suffering through the good shit. But then as I came walking back in, I was like, wow, that looks pretty cool.
It was,
and I missed some of it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Aquaman got his ass kicked. We all knew he was gonna get his ass kicked, but it was just still a cool ass fight. Like what was that? Neo versus Agent Smith. One of those fights. It was that was Dragon Ball Z underwater. Exactly. I was like, okay, this shit is cool.
Yeah.
So like it's like you said, those fight scenes were fucking awesome. All the fight scenes were awesome. Better than what we normally get from the Marvel cinematic, and mainly because of James Wan, and because he's known for action. Oh, I will say this. Like I said, the plot was over complicated for such a simple plot. I do feel like there was a bunch of plot holes in it, but I do feel like a lot of the plot holes can be excused because this movie follows a trope called the rule of cool. So
Yeah.
if it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense as long as the payoff is there. Just like we were talking about the octopus playing the drum. Like we can question why, but why do you want to question that? It's octopus playing the drums. You know?
Yeah.
So another reason was like when they were in Italy and they see that thing down at the end where they gotta go. Why don't they just swim there? They're superpowered folks. They can just get there. Why do they take a boat? Aren't they both proven they're faster than boats?
Wasn't he injured? He was injured though, wasn't he?
I mean, she could have waited till they got healed and then swim there.
And then she stole a boat, and it was like we got to laugh a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like you can swim in. I know what they want to do. They want to slow down and have some character beats and a romantic subplot, which went nowhere with them. You know.
Yeah. Now here's something, and I've only watched Justice League a couple times now, but they're saying that, because in this movie they say, Orm said he never went to Arthur has never been to Atlantis.
True.
But then in Justice League, he obviously went down and to the mother box.
He went down there, talked to him in Atlanta. Even though in Justice League he also said that was the first time going.
Okay. So that was
but at the same time, that's even if that was the first time going, he's still saying he's never been there before. So that was a huge plot hole there, also.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I should go back and watch that scene again because do they name drop Atlantis or is that just
flat out name drop Atlantis? Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. He's like, well, he could have been in Zebel or something. That they could have been hiding that mother box.
That's what I was thinking also. Like, okay, he said he never been to Atlantis, but at the same time, Atlantis in this looks completely different than Atlantis in Justice League. So maybe he went to some hidden city, like he didn't go deep into Atlantis. He went to like I don't know. I'm trying to do a leap of logic to try to make this.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was like, maybe they were, maybe it wasn't technically Atlantis. Maybe it was a little, an outskirt of it.
And then people start thinking like, okay, maybe this happened before Justice League. Okay. And then Mira says, oh, remember the time we fought Steppenwolf? They're like, oh, fuck. Okay. So never mind.
Yeah.
I also like how so then I started looking. I was like, oh, James Wan. It reminded me, okay, James Wan is doing this. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because
and that's why,
he's a veteran at this. He gets to flex his directorial muscles,
Yeah, and I'm not a big ghost story guy. I'm just not into the supernatural ghost story shit. Haunted houses and ghosts and possession. That's just not my thing. But I don't mind the Conjuring movies or the Insidious movies because James Wan directs them. You know, they're very well made, and that's what keeps me going back and watching them because he's involved. So
right. So
because that trench scene, I didn't full on jump, when the camera panned and there's one of the trenches sitting on the boat. I was like, but I did go, oh shit, Did you?
I jumped. I don't care.
Yeah,
call me a little girl. I don't care.
But it was a little startling. I didn't expect. I was like, oh shit, and then I got excited. Then my dick got hard. Oh, it's the trench. The trench is here finally.
And you wonder how he was gonna beat him. So.
Yeah, and then that whole that visual of them, jumping in the water with the flare, and they're all chasing them. That was just awesome, especially on the big screen.
That was beautiful. It was like, okay, this is why you pay to go see movies. Like you expect to see, shots like this in a movie you're paying money for.
Yeah,
you'll never see something like that in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So. That's what I like about that. So the trench was awesome. I do like how they established that Superman. A lot of people were shocked that Aquaman was so strong, even though it was already established in Justice League. He can kind of go toe to toe with Superman, but people were shocked. He got shot with bullets and shot with grenade launch stuff like that. He just keep getting back up, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, he's his body. I mean, Atlanteans have thick skin because they can withstand, the pressures of the deep.
Right.
So yeah, they're strong.
Right. All of them have pretty much the same level of strength, like that. But then I'm thinking the whole movie, okay, so if he's a strong Superman, what's his kryptonite? And then later on, halfway through the movie, they explain his kryptonite. Basically, his kryptonite is any kind of Atlantean steel. It's Atlantean steel. I do like how Black Manta stabbed him with the Atlantean steel first and then took out his dad's knife and stuck him in the same wound.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Black Manta was cool. I mean, they reference, his or they gave him an origin too. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
gave Black Manta's origin, which is, not beat for beat the same thing, but it is pretty similar
Okay,
to the
that's what I was gonna
comics.
ask you because I never actually read Black Manta's storyline in the comics. He looks cool, but I never read it, so I
Yeah,
felt like they changed up some stuff. So.
yeah. I mean, of the whole thing with Arthur killing his dad and all that shit, and
Hmm.
like him blaming Aquaman for his dad's death and all that. That's all in the comics.
Were
That's
they
all.
still pirates and stuff? And,
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, they were going around. He was part of the. I'm getting deep again. The other, is it the others or the deserters? No, no, the deserters were the desert ocean people.
okay,
No, I
what
think they're called the
what?
others.
Dude,
The,
how can you be in the ocean in the desert?
well, no, when they go to that's the dead ocean. When they go to the desert to get the scepter or whatever,
In the
that in the
movie or the comics?
Sahara,
Oh, in the
that
series.
was used to be an ocean, but it's a desert now. Now they were called the deserters or whatever the fuck, or the deserters.
Did they
Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong.
deserters?
Yeah,
Maybe. Was that in the movie? I mean, did they mention it in the movie?
I don't think they mention it in the movies, but
Okay.
that's in the comics.
Okay, you
But
lose. Okay, you get lost me for a second. I'm like, wait, did I miss something?
yeah,
But
but
or maybe they even kind of hinted or referenced it in the movie. Because
yeah,
when you're
but
saying it,
there's
kind
the
of makes sense.
others. Like there's like a group called the Others in the comics. They're just humans that went around searching for Atlantean weapons and artifacts and shit.
Okay.
And Black Manta, that's how Black Manta recruits some of them to try to find the scepter that's used in Throne of Atlantis in the comics,
Okay.
because because that scepter can control oceans and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, that's in the Throne of Atlantis comics. They kind of changed it up in the movie, but yeah, Black Manta, Black Manta ends up on the Suicide Squad and shit, and you know. Yeah, I mean he has a cool backstory too. He's almost like Aquaman's Joker.
Okay. Yeah. He's a big deal. I remember doing that Forever Evil run in the comics. Like Lex Luthor recruited him to kind of kill the Evil Just League, and he was fucking badass in that too. So yeah.
Or just in this last, what was that last comic we just the Drowned Earth
Drowned
or
Earth,
whatever?
right? Where he took
Yeah,
Aquaman's powers. Yeah.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
yeah, that's actually it's a casting gag I heard in there also. Okay, so Black Manta wasn't in the Just League cartoon, the Just League Unlimited cartoon, but they did have a character called Devil Ray because they couldn't use the license for. That's why Aquaman wasn't in that show because they didn't have a license for him because his license was tied up in the movies or whatever. Anyway, the actor that played him or voiced him was the dad in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of made it all come full circle. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if that was on purpose or they just did it or whatever, but I thought it was pretty cool. So now, I mean, you're gonna throw Black Man in there. Now you gotta throw Aqualad in there.
Well, it wasn't in the dog, the dad's dog. Aquaman's dad, he had that dog, which was probably a reference to what the hell's the dog? They got a dog in the comic. I can't remember
Do
the
they?
name.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not an
Now
aqua
that's some
dog.
deep cut
It's
stuff.
not. It's not. He doesn't breathe underwater, but they have a
Okay,
dog.
Aqua Dog.
Him and
Okay.
him and Mira. I forget his name. But I was like, oh, that's probably the dog that they have in the comic.
Common cast with
Like
no
again,
Eli.
I'm just like, oh shit, man, they're going deep. Like,
Yeah, they're throwing stuff. I guess they throwing so much stuff. They're not lingering on it. They're just like, hey, it's there.
yeah,
You know.
like I said, I just had a smile on my face the whole time. I was like, yeah. And the
So
ending battle, I was just like, holy shit.
okay, let's talk about the ending battle. Now, here's the thing. Now, we debating on whether or not this is the best DCEU movie. The ending battle alone makes this the best DCEU movie for me.
Yeah,
Bar none. Like, we everybody wants to say Wonder Woman, and you can put Wonder Woman up there, but here's the thing. To me, Wonder Woman completely falls apart in the third act. Just goes completely off
Yeah.
the rails. I don't even
Yeah,
know what
what-
happened in third act.
yeah. The third act of Wonder Woman is, basically the ending of BVS rebooted, redone.
Yeah.
You know,
Honestly, I like the
remixed.
ending of BVS better. I was like, at least I understand what's going on. At least I remember shit that happened. Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, when Ares stepped up, I was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. She's like charging the people. She's going Super Saiyan. She's floating. She
and it just turned into the dirty, shit water, color hue of Zack Snyder's
Yeah, I
movies.
was like, this shit is like that shit was terrible. That shit was like super bad. It's like, okay, Wonder Woman has finally turned into a DCEU movie in the third
Yeah,
act.
like here
Like,
we
oh,
go.
there you are. Okay.
Fucking shaky cameras, shit, all constant debris falling in the frame.
Right.
I'm trying to squint to see what's going on.
It's
All the
like Zack Snyder
smoke and
kicked in the door in the
debris
third
and
act. Like, no, I have to put
yeah,
my stamp on this movie.
yeah. It's like, but this was so bright and luxurious and just
Yeah. And like I said, we're gonna get into spoiler, even though we didn't do spoiler, because there's really nothing to spoil in this movie. But just the fact that Aquaman rode a Kraken into battle.
yeah. I was saying that I remember because I remember back, when we talked about the trailer, and
Right.
you were saying, "Man, all I want to see is Aquaman ride a shark. If I don't get to see Aquaman ride a shark, I'm gonna be pissed." And I
Right.
remember thinking, yep. And then when that happened, I'm like, "Shit, Leroy didn't get to see Aquaman ride a shark, but he came in riding Cthulhu."
Right. I'm like, okay, you got me. I'm like, I don't care what this movie does, wrong or bad. He rode
Yeah,
a Kraken in the battle. That's
yeah.
all I care about. It's
I
kind of
just
like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like, I don't care what problems you have with that movie. They fought a fucking planet.
yeah,
So anything else is excused. Same thing with Aquaman. He rode a Kraken in the battle. Anything you do is excused. And
yeah.
even when he rode the seahorse, he rode a seahorse in the battle. But he was like surfing this shit. I was like, I'm done. Aquaman, you're awesome. Rest in peace, Aquaman jokes.
And then I knew, and I knew what was gonna happen too. I knew what was gonna happen. I knew what he was gonna do, but I didn't give a shit. And I
Yeah.
remember just like, oh yeah, he's on the Kraken, but you know what? He doesn't even need to do anything because he can just control all the creatures. And then right when
that's
I
what
thought,
he did.
yeah,
Exactly.
and that right when I thought that's what happened. He just all the sharks and all the creatures everybody was riding just like turned on him and started eating everybody. And I
And
was
then
like,
he had the
oh.
trench with him.
Yeah, and he was controlling the trench, and I
I'm
was
like,
just like,
what the
"Oh
fuck?"
fuck yeah!" I was like, just like losing it, and like, "Yeah,
I was like, after that, I'm like, I'm done. I started to clap. I honestly, I started to clap in my seat when I saw all that shit happening.
yeah,
Because I kept wondering, like, why is his power so weak? He's supposed to be able to control all this aqua shit, and he like does it on one person at a time or one animal at a time. But at the end, he's like, "Fuck it, no, I'm controlling every fucking thing. I'm running a battle by myself and fighting like 4, countries by myself." I'm like, okay,
yeah."
you're fucking
It,
badass.
it was like that scene in the Justice League
Yeah,
comic where the sharks came up and ate the parademons or whatever.
right. And then Green Lantern, before it happened, Green Lantern was like, okay, why do we need you on the team? You can't do anything. And then it's when he had like the sharks eat the parademons, and Green Lantern was
Yeah,
like, okay, I'll shut the fuck up now.
yeah.
Oh shoot. Eli, we're gonna have to wrap this up because I'm actually running out of space on.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to cut it off because we had a good convo go, but we're gonna have to. I don't know how long we've been going, but we have to go. So
I
basically,
think we went a while, just an hour on just the movie. I think is fine.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I hate to go. I could have keep going, but I'm gonna have to wrap this up now because I got other stuff to do. So let me slap a score on this. I'm gonna give it a 4 point. No, 4 out of 5. Just flat 4 out of 5. Best DCEU movie. If we compare it to other Marvel movies, it's up there in like the top of range of the Marvel movies. Beautiful looking movie, one of the most beautiful looking superheroes you'll see ever. Comic accurate. Aquaman looks like that last third act when he put on the Aquaman suit. That's Aquaman.
Yeah,
Like
I
this
didn't
is
mind it at
Aquaman
all.
out of the comic. They just threw the comics on screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully you guys listen. Christmas is coming. Holiday season. Sorry about that. Let's be politically correct. Let's be SJW. Everybody have a good holiday. Have a good Christmas. We will talk to you guys next week. Eli, you got anything else to add?
No, go see Aquaman
Go see,
again.
go see. I'm gonna go see it again. But hopefully with the family this weekend. We'll see. That being said, this is Leroy.
This is Eli.
We talk to you guys next week. Same bullet time, same bullet channel. Okay, cool.